Hello YouTube and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we're playing Elden Ring and we're doing another weapon video, and today's is the top 5 best flails and where to find them / how to get them. So if you've never seen one of these videos before, we compare all the weapons at max level and with all their stats max to see which are the best, and then I also show you exactly where to find them, or at least as close as I can come. Sometimes it's kind of random. But let's just dive on in and start off with number 5, which is the flail, which you can see I've got here. So it's just a stereotypical medieval flail. Obviously there's quite a bit of contention as to whether these weapons were widely used at all. And of course, I would say that just from what I know about medieval weaponry, the chain on this is probably a little bit long. But other than that, decently accurate flail. As far as stats on this one are concerned, we have a max attack power of 680 and an average guarded damage negation of 26. As for attributes required to use this one, we have 10 strength and 18 dexterity, so nothing ridiculous there. It does have passive effects, which is that it causes blood loss buildup, so that's pretty cool. And we have the spinning chain special attack. And of course, this one can be upgraded with Ashes of War, so you can specialize it to do extra damage or use special attacks that you like more than whatever it's got starting off. So as far as getting this one goes, it's actually decently early in the game where you can acquire it. We're over here in Limgrave at the Gatefront Ruins, and this one can be found in the back of one of these 2 carriages here. So I'm just going to kind of sneak over and take out the guards so I can show you. Alright, so there's this one right here, and now I can't remember which one, because both of these will give you a weapon, and they're both decent weapons, so they're worth going to. But there's this one right here, so you can see we're up near the Gatefront Ruins, right up on this end of the ruins, and the other one is going to be over in this corner, to the far side. Here's our heavy attack. Decently powerful. And swings decently fast. I actually like the flails. They're a unique combat style in the game, but pretty dang fun to use. Alright, we'll do a running, jumping one. And then we'll turn around and we'll kill this guy. Alright, there we go. And so here's the other one. So you can see I'm just on the opposite side of the ruins. I think it's this one that it's in. I'm pretty sure, but it's in one of them. And so that is how and where you find it. I've already showed you some of the combat for this weapon, so I guess we'll just show you a little bit more. We'll take out this guy with a, I don't know, a charged strength attack. Ooh, cool. So you spin it a little bit first. I missed. Beans. The damn shields, those are the bane of the flail. Or not any shields, just heavy shields, because it actually does decently well against standard shields. One of the reasons I like it. And then, so you've pretty much seen what it can do standard-wise, so I'll just show you the two-handed attack. It's got the spinning flail one, so it's a unique one. I'll show you it. Basically, you just start spinning your flail, and this is another one that you can just hold and it keeps going. And just does little rapid hits. Obviously, walking with it is probably not the most practical way to go, but it's a constant attack, which is one of my favorite types for two-handed attacks, because you can just keep it going, obviously at a cost to your magicka, but because it'll drain there, but it's a decently solid attack. So I like the flail. Like I said, it takes number 5. It can be upgraded with Ashes of War. There's a lot of things to like about it. They're also great mounted weapons, you'll find. When using these on horseback, they're excellent for hit and run attacks. So definitely a good weapon, and it's pretty dang easy to find. So that's the flail. Let's move on to number 4. Alright, and so for number 4, we have the Nightrider flail, which is very similar to the first, except instead of having 1, which was decently realistic, it's got 3 spiked balls on it, which makes it infinitely less realistic. But still pretty cool looking and pretty fun to use. As far as stats on this one go, we have a max attack power of 696 and an average guarded damage negation of 27. This one can, of course, also be upgraded with Ashes of War, so you can specialize it to do what you want. As for attributes required to use this one, dexterity of 24 and strength of 10. We do have a passive effect. It causes a blood loss buildup, which is always nice. And once again, we have the spinning chain special attack. So that is the Nightrider flail for stats. As far as getting this flail, again, actually decently simple and can be done pretty much early game. There's an optional boss that will spawn over here, so you can see we're on the Weeping Peninsula of Limgrave, and we're over by the Castlemorn Ramparts, and you're going to want to head right over to like this tower right here on this side at night, and you will find the Nightrider Cavalry, or the Knights Cavalry is what it's called. And there are a couple of these that spawn throughout the map, but the one that spawns here is the one that drops the Nightrider's flail. So it's an optional boss, standard mounted combat type, a lot like a lot of the other mounted enemies in the game. Decently easy in my opinion, but once you kill him, you get this flail, and that is the only way to get it. So that is how you get the Nightrider's flail. So in combat, you'll find that this weapon acts basically exactly the same as the flail, just a little bit more powerful in each regard. So those were our light attacks. Here we'll do a running jump attack with a heavy attack. You got 752 there. Now we'll do a charged standing attack on this guy. So we did almost 1200 damage there, so pretty dang good. We'll do just a standard heavy attack on this guy. So we did almost 900 damage there. Definitely a very strong weapon. And then, of course, we have the same two-handed effect where we just start spinning, and it does decent damage. So, like I said, basically just an upgraded version of the standard flail. So that is number 2, the Nightrider's flail. Let's move on to, or I should say that's number 4, the Nightrider's flail. Let's move on to number 3. All right, and so for number 3, we have the Chainlink flail. So again, a pretty standard looking flail type weapon. This one has a significantly shorter chain, but has a much larger head on it. So pretty cool looking, but again, pretty unrealistic looking. As far as stats on this one go, we have a max attack power of 699, so another step up above the Nightrider flail, and an average guarded damage negation of 30.5. This one, for attributes required to use, we have 18 strength and 12 dexterity. We do have, again, that blood loss build-up passive effect on here, and again, the spinning chain special attack. So basically, all 3 of these first ones are pretty much the same weapon. They just get slightly more powerful as you go up, and they can all be upgraded with Ashes of War. So you can do what you want to upgrade these to fit your playstyle. But they do come in stock with that blood loss build-up, which is great, and a constant two-handed attack, which is pretty decent for lots and lots of enemies. So as far as getting this one goes, it is actually, I've never found a specific spawn location for it. It's a random drop from certain Pumpkinhead enemies. So basically you have to find Pumpkinhead enemies that are wielding this flail and then kill them and hope you get it. So it's kind of a grindy type thing. But I have located at least one Pumpkinhead enemy that has this flail, and it's the one where I got it. So if you can see, we're up here in the Altus Plateau region, way over on the edge. And if you start from the Bridge of Iniquity, you're going to want to follow this road up to about here, where you'll find a troll cart, and also there will be a Pumpkinhead that wields this weapon. So I'll just show you quick. We'll ride over in that direction. So you can see here we have our troll carts and quite a few enemies. And if you go up onto this cliffside up here, you're going to be able to isolate. You see there's our Pumpkinhead enemy. And this one is one of the ones that is typically wielding the Chainlink flail. So you can see that he's wielding it right now. Let's kill him and see if he drops one. He dropped something. Sanctuary Stone. So not a Chainlink flail, but he is one that will drop it if you grind him enough. So basically you're going to have to just keep spawning back at the Bridge of Iniquity or whatever site you want to do, and keep coming back to this location to kill that Pumpkinhead until you get it. So that is, it's like I said, the only way that I've isolated for sure to get this weapon is to just grind it off of Pumpkinheads that wield it. As far as attacks, you can see we've done some light attacks there. Again, like most flails, it's actually a pretty decent weapon to use on horseback. You can do just the spinning while you're charging, or you can do targeted attacks where you swing, and it makes it pretty dang effective. As far as just on the ground, it's obviously going to be pretty similar to most flail-type weapons as far as effectiveness goes. Here we'll do our heavy attack, well, our jumping heavy attack. And then here we'll just do our two-handed spin. So you see, pretty good at taking up lots of stuff. Like I said, basically these first 3 are very similar in the way that they act. They just get slightly better as you go. And again, I don't have any Ashes of War upgrades on these, but if you did, you can vastly improve their performance and make it fit your specific playstyle. So that is the Chainlink flail and how to get it. I wish there was a specific spawn location for it, but like I said, you just got to target the Pumpkinhead enemies that wield this weapon. So that's number 3. Let's move on to number 2. All right, and so for our number 2, our runner-up, we've got this real interesting looking flail. Basically, it just looks like a stick with what appear to be scaled planets connected to it. Perhaps our solar system, hard to say for sure. It doesn't really look like it, but could be. So it's got a celestial look to it, so it's a little out of place in the game, but definitely pretty cool looking. As for the stats on this one go, we have a max attack power of 830, so a decent step above the Chainlink flail, and a average guarded damage negation of 28.6. This one has, for attributes required, 8 strength, 22 dexterity, and 22 intelligence. No passive effects on this one, and the special attack is the Nebula attack, and unfortunately this one cannot be imbued with Ashes of War, so you can't actually customize this one with AOW upgrades. So that is the stats. As far as getting this one goes, it is the reward for a boss fight, and it's a decently difficult boss fight at a decently difficult to reach area. So we are currently down in the Ainsel River region, all the way across the Lake of Rot. So basically the best way to try to get to the Lake of Rot is to do the Rena Magic storyline, which will actually bring you to the Noxtella Waterfall Basin, and you'll come down here to fight a boss for her, and then once you're here, you'll be able to reach the Lake of Rot and make your way through here. And so the Lake of Rot is a big scarlet rot lake. It's decently difficult to get through. There's platforms that you raise up to make your way through to get over to the Grand Cloister. Once you're over here, you ledge jump down until you get over to that doorway. See where the point of my helmet is kind of pointing right there. I don't know why it keeps jerking to the left. That's really annoying. But so right there, you can see that doorway. Through there is a boss fight, and it will be the Astal Natural Born of the Void boss. So like I said, decently difficult boss fight. It's going to be best to approach that one with either ranged or magic attacks. I did ranged just because, you know, it keeps its distance. And once you've done that, you get the Remembrance of the Natural Born. Then once you have that Remembrance, you bring it here to the Round Table Hold, and you come up into this top chamber, and you trade it with Enya here for this mace. So that is the only way to get this, I shouldn't say mace, for this flail. The only way to get the Bastard Stars flail. Alright, and so for attacks on this one, all of your standard stuff is going to be pretty normal for a flail. It's going to look a lot like the rest of them have. It's really only the two-handed attack that's special. Obviously, this one does a bit more damage, especially against enemies that are susceptible to magicka damage. But other than that, it's going to act like a normal flail. So there, we did over 1,000 damage for it. There's our standard heavy attack. But then the two-handed attack is where we get powerful. So the two-handed attack here is the Nebula. So basically, it leaves a dark cloud of stars in its wake that lingers briefly before explosion. So it's a special magical one. So you'll see here, we'll do it. So, okay. Once you've done that, it just explodes a bunch. That is number 2. Let's move on to the number 1 best flail in the game at number 1. And alright, at number 1 we have the Family Heads flail, which is probably, I mean, not the most unique looking, because obviously the Bastard Stars is pretty unique, but this one looks pretty dang unique. It's got the 3 flail edges, kind of like the Nightrider flail does. As far as stats on this one go, we have a max attack bar of 846 and an average guarded damage negation of 28.5. Attributes required to wield it are 8 for strength, 18 for dexterity, and 16 for intelligence. No passive effects, unfortunately, but we do have the Familial Rancor special attack, which is a pretty powerful magical attack. Pretty decent, honestly. Only downside, again, is like the Bastard Stars, this one cannot be infused with Ashes of War. As far as acquiring this weapon goes, you're going to have to make your way to the Altus Plateau region, and from anywhere over in this section, you can make your way down to the Sage's Cave, which you can see we are standing in front of, so there's a large cliff, so you got to kind of come from the west to approach this one. And it's a standard dungeon. You make your way to the end after opening, you know, your dungeon door or whatever you want to call it. And then you kill the Necromancer Garrus, who's going to be in there, and the Necromancer will drop this weapon. So that's the boss for this cave. It's not a very hard boss fight, and at the end you will get this weapon. For attacks, you're really not going to see anything extra special. You know, it's going to be very standard for flails. Obviously, it's just going to deal a bit more damage than the earlier ones, and decently similar to the Bastard Stars, I mean a little bit higher. But all of the attack patterns are going to be the same. The only time you're going to run into anything special is, again, the two-handed effect. So the Familiar Rancor is a magical attack that sends a bunch of bursts of skulls, I guess, black flaming skulls that will attack your enemy. So it's useful for things with a shield like this, because you can get behind them and deal damage from behind. It's also useful for bosses, especially if they're susceptible to magicka damage. And since it's kind of heat-seeking, there's no real missing with it. So that is number 1, the Family Heads. Like I said, all of these flails are going to be decently similar in performance, so a lot of it's going to come down to personal preference, especially regarding like Ashes of War and things like that. But they are definitely a weapon that I think a lot of people sleep on just because of how unconventional they are in the game. And most of them are actually pretty easy to get. So that is my total list. Hope you liked it, but in any case, that's all for today, so we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.